It's your man Ken Billions. How are you doing? Hopefully you are blessed wherever you are in the world, and you are somewhere where you're appreciated. Um, Today my video is about the DNA of achievers, and it's a great build coming into 2020 because the topic that I'm talking about, that's what it's going to take for us to go to the next level. And we always talk about leveling up. We always talk about getting more. We always talk about doing more. But the devil's in the details. How do we get there? And my topic today is about relentlessness. And I'm going to talk about a very important historical figure that doesn't get mentioned, that used, that had the achievement in their DNA. And I'm going to mention the name, and I hope when I mention this person's name and I break their character down, that you take what I say and you run with it, because this person is super important. So yeah, happy Wednesday. Again, I hope everything in your life. Enjoy your coffee, enjoy your vape, whatever it is that you do. You already know who you rocking with. You could be anywhere in the world, but you're here with me, and I appreciate that. All right, so again, my topic today is called the DNA of achievers. So before I get into my subject matter, I would like to thank the people that have supported CanBillions.com since I started it. It has not been easy, and I want to thank the people that have came and left. I want to thank them as well. I started the site because I wanted to go in a different direction to provide people exclusive content that wasn't online. It hasn't been as easy as I thought it was, because you got to constantly be creative and create and create. So I want to thank the people that have been sitting with me, and it's going to go through the roof now. So I thank you. Also, I want to thank Cash App supporters. If you ever shot something to my Cash App, I thank you. I'm behind the scenes. I'm building something dope. And so I thank you for that. But I'm not going to lie. You know, the approach that I take has not been easy. I think when I started 2017, I think I was at about 200,000 likes, 200,000, something like that on Facebook. And it hasn't grown since. It's dropped. Because, you know, I want to talk about real things when I talk to people, so I can engage in fights or gossip. So I choose not to go in that direction, and that's really the only thing that can get past the algorithms that's in place on IG, YouTube, and Facebook. So I don't know if you're not an influencer, you probably don't know why someone with a lot of followers has so small views on their platform. It's because if you're not engaging in trendy topics, then you're not really going to get that much traffic, because it's about algorithms and keywords. Okay, so if you are talking about Donald Trump, if you put that in the caption, it'll get a lot of traffic because it's a popular name, right? So that's how it goes. So if you ever went to someone's page and they got a lot of followers, but their view count is so low or their likes are so low, it's because it's an algorithm in place. It's not nothing that they're necessarily doing. And when you create content that's going against or going the opposite direction of trendy and fights and gossip or whatever, not knocking that, but when you go the different direction, you don't get as many views. So that's why. So yeah, my platform has not grown at all. If I lose people, but that's good. That's all good. It's not about it's about quality and not quantity. I learned that. All right. So thank you. All right, I got that out the way. So my message today it's called the DNA of achievers. And I wanted to do this particular video because a lot of people feel like the system is rigged. They wake up with that paranoia every day that the system is out to get them. The system is not in their favor, whatever. Well, they're right though. The system is rigged, and it's rigged for a particular type of person. It's rigged in a certain direction. And the direction that it's rigged in is it's rigged towards the man or woman that comes to the table with the most effort. Make sure you like and share the video too. And who has the ability to have relentless behavior. America's an ill place, because what's different about America and other places is If you live in a third world, your maximum effort will not get you anything. America is so ill that if you have behavior that and your output is the bare minimum, you can still have a wife, a husband, a car, an apartment. That kind of behavior of bare minimum will actually make you starve to death other places. So that's what America's so ill. Also, with the freedoms that America has, people are free to do absolutely nothing. But hyper focus can turn you into Elon Musk or Bob Johnson or Julia Michaels. That's what hyper focus in America is. So yes, the system is rigged. It's rigged against a person that doesn't have a work ethic. It's rigged against a person that doesn't dig deep down in themselves and have a relentless behavior and have the ability to sacrifice. In America, what you're going to have to give up to get where you got to go is a lot of instant gratification, a lot of pleasure, and a lot of desire. And those that are able to, they're able to scale very, very, very fast in a short period of time. Okay, so yes, the system is rigged, but it's rigged towards those that have achievement in their DNA. And I'm going to talk about a particular characteristic today about what relentless behavior is my character that I'm talking about in the DNA of achievers. And I'm going to talk about a particular person. Okay, I don't know if you ever heard of this person. You may want to write this person's name down because they got lost in the sauce when it comes to historical figures. They're a unique individual because where they started is not where they finished. Okay, and I wanted to bring this person's name up so it can inspire you moving into 2020. Okay, we are ending a decade. All right, this is the first 20 years of a new millennium, but it's the end of a decade. And I know, I don't know about you, but I want to shake this decade off. This decade, I've had some highs and lows, but my highs have been me trying to do them on the wrong track. I started my 2010 in jail. Okay, so that's my intro to this decade. Okay, and I want to shake that off. And in order for me to shake that off, I need to find inspiration because sometimes we max out and sometimes we run out of gas. But this particular person right here has inspired me and I want to bring them to you, okay? So in order to achieve, you must have certain qualities inside your DNA. There's a character trait that needs to exist inside of you, and it's called relentlessness. Now, if you don't know who this individual is that I'm showing you on the screen, allow me to introduce you to this gentleman right here. His name is Alonzo Herndon, right? And the way you spell his name is Alonzo. That's the first name. Herndon. Herndon, all right? Alonzo Herndon. So I'm just going to give you a brief description about Mr. Herndon and what makes him so exceptional, okay? So Alonzo Franklin Herndon was born June 26, 1858 in Walton County, Georgia. He died 1927. He was an African-American entrepreneur and businessman in Atlanta, Georgia. Born into slavery, he became one of the first African-American millionaires in the United States, first achieving success by owning and operating 3 large barbershops in the city that served prominent white men. In 1905, he became the founder and president In 1905, he became the founder and president of what he built to become the United States' most well-known and successful African-American business, the Atlanta Insurance Company. The reason why I'm using this guy as a talking point today is because this gentleman was born into slavery. Okay? So no matter what you think you're going through right now, I'm not going to minimize what you're going through because everything is relative. But this gentleman scaled out of slavery to become a successful businessman and a successful entrepreneur. Okay? So allow me to go on about Mr. Herndon's life. Born in slavery in 1858 in Walton County, Georgia, Alonzo was the son of Sophony, an enslaved woman, and a white father, likely her master, Frank Herndon. The boy was one of 25 slaves owned by his father, who never acknowledged paternity to him. After the American Civil War, Alonzo, then 7, and his family were emancipated in 1865. They included his mother, his parents, and his younger brother. He took his father's surname. The family entered freedom in destitution. From a very young age, Herndon worked as a laborer and peddler to help support his family, as only his mother could work in the early years. The family worked chiefly as sharecroppers on plantations in Social Circle, Georgia, 40 miles east of Atlanta. Why am I reading this person's life? Because I relate to you. So whatever's going on in your life, it might seem like the most crazy shit, and your shoulders might be getting weak. But I'm giving you an example of somebody who, let's be honest, was in a way worse situation than you and I could ever be in. Being in a situation where someone is telling you to go to the bathroom. Well, that happens in jail. But being in a situation where a person thinks for you. That's the ill thing about slavery, because someone thought for you. You didn't use your mind. Someone used it for you. And to be able to come out that situation and become what he became, this is why you need to know this person's name, because you need a point of reference. Okay? So, this is very, very important. All right? So, listen. In 1878, Herndon left Social Circle on foot with $11 in savings and approximately 1 year of formal schooling. He eventually settled in Siona, Georgia to work as a farmhand. Here he started to learn the barbering trade, considered a good one at the time. Many white men use African-American barbers in these days. Later, Herndon opened up his first barbershop in Jonesboro, Georgia. His barbering business thrived and he expanded it over the years. After starting in the shop of another black man in Atlanta, Herndon later owned 3 barbershops in Atlanta, including a large one at 66 Peachtree Street that he fitted out with luxurious furnishings. These barbershops had elite customers such as presidents, judges, businessmen, and lawyers. Do you see where I'm going with this? Now, how is it possible that this gentleman, born into slavery, how could his life go like this? I'm saying this because when you look at, I want to look at your life and our lives, no matter where we think we are today. Man, listen, you can scale out of it, but it's going to require something that you probably haven't tapped into yet. And it's going to require relentless behavior. How else can this gentleman be born a slave, come out of slavery, only with $11 in his pocket, 1 year of schooling, open up barbershops where prominent clergy, officials, businessmen, lawyers, even presidents came to his barbershop to patronize his business? How is that possible? What are you going through again? What are you going through again? And how are you going to get out of your situation? If you don't get a handout and there's no welfare plan for you to get out of your situation, how are you going to get out of your situation? Now, you can't solve every single problem at one time. They say the best way to eat an elephant is a piece at a time. So to solve your life, to solve our lives, it's going to come a day at a time, a week at a time, a month at a time, because 9 times out of 10, what got us in our situation did not happen overnight. It was a consistent thing. It was a consistent thing that got us into our situation. And I want to use this man's life because, again, you know, everything is relative, and we might wake up in the morning not wanting to live because the bills is piled up on our head, or we're single mothers and the man done ran out, or you came home from jail, or you got a felony. What I'm telling you is history shows in America that relentless behavior will get you out of your situation. The problem is we do practice relentless behavior, but we practice it in reverse. We practice it against our own self-interest. The relentless behavior we have is relentless and petty. relentless in jealousy, relentless in ignorance, relentless in depression, relentless in stress, relentless in anger. Okay? So we do practice a relentless every single day. Relentless in distraction, relentless in you name it. Okay? So we practice relentless behavior every single day. The problem is, it's the way that we practice it. The way that we practice it scales us to the bottom. Okay? What I'm telling you is, in America, history shows, if you reverse engineer your relentless behavior to the light, to the good, you're going to catch a W. Because if this man could come from slavery and do it, you could do it too. Listen, just a little more about this man. This man is great. All right? Alonzo Herndon. Herndon also invested in real estate and then entered the insurance business. He began by buying a failing mutual aid association in 1905. Pay attention to the date. In 1905, when the state of Georgia increased capital requirements for such businesses. He had been approached by a couple of ministers in the community to acquire the company as something for the black community. He incorporated it as the Atlanta Mutual Insurance Association. By 1916, the association reorganized as a stock company capitalized at $25,000, most of which Hardin bought. In 1922, the company was recognized as Atlanta Life Insurance Company and became one of 5 American insurance companies at the time to achieve legal reserve status. Atlanta Life business thrived, and they expanded their business into Florida, Kansas, Kentucky, Missouri, Tennessee, and Texas. This is incredible. Through his enterprises, Herndon became Atlanta's first black millionaire. Herndon was featured in the Crisis magazine Men of the Month in 1921. This article emphasizes his competence. This article emphasizes his competence and success as a businessman. To me, that's incredible. To me, look at the dates that I'm talking about: 1922, 1905. If you have only seen images of black males in 1905 being hung, that's by design. If you have seen images of people of color in the early 19th century being abused, that's by design. Why? Because that will put you on a course of relentless behavior to crash out and self-destruct. But I'm telling you, there are people that was alive 100 years ago that went through more than you can ever imagine, and they landed in the spots that you want to land. Don't you want to be featured in magazines as a success and competent? Don't you want that for yourself or your children or your loved ones? Don't you want that? Huh? Isn't that the so-called American dream? It doesn't have to be in money. It can be in fitness, okay? It can be in philanthropy. But don't you want to be recognized for what your hands do? This man was born a slave and wound up as a successful entrepreneur, owning barbershops, insurance companies. We're talking millionaire status 100 years ago, over 100 years ago. That's incredible. But how does a man go from being a slave to being a millionaire? Only relentless behavior can accomplish that. Look, so I wrote down 3 relentless approaches, okay? I want to get into those 3 relentless approaches, all right? Advantages. We all have advantages. Now, colorism is real in America. Alonzo Herndon, I believed, used his color as an advantage, even if he doesn't know it. Even if he didn't know that that was an advantage at the time. It's highly possible that that's why he was able to do what he did. But that's the way he was born. Should he not have leveraged his skin tone? What are your advantages? Each one of us has a particular skill. If you was a cheetah in nature, your advantage would be what? Speed. Lion, your advantage is what? Power. A shark's advantage is what? It can smell blood and water. A dolphin advantage is what? Sonar. A chameleon advantage of what? Its advantage is what? Stealth. Okay? Each one of us have advantages. So real quick, if you never thought about this, if you never thought about it, this is not Victim Day. We leave victimhood in 2019. What are your advantages? What are the things that you can use? So real quick, just a few people. Can a few people in the chat write their advantages down? And the reason why I want to do this is because maybe you never even thought about it. If you have long flowing hair in the marketplace, that's an advantage. Why? Because aesthetics matter. You shouldn't have survival guilt about it. You should leverage it to get to get a win. If you are really dark skinned, don't look at it as a bad thing. That's a great thing. In fact, dark skinned people have leveraged their skin tone to do great things. You don't believe me? Oprah Winfrey is not a light-skinned woman. Tyrese is not a light-skinned man. Michael Jordan is not a light-skinned man. If you think for 1 second people don't favor them because of their skin tone, you're bugging. Each one of us have an advantage. Some of us it's our physique. Other people, it's our sexuality. Other people are not easy on the eyes, but they're intelligent. Each one of us have an advantage. Each one of us have an advantage. And if you really think about it, what are your advantages? Is it your sense of humor? Okay? Think about times in your life that had when you was in a pickle. How did you get out of it? What did you use to get out of a sticky situation? Or what did you use to get to where you needed to be? There's something that you used. What comes up consistently? If you are a nice, attractive woman, that's great. You can leverage your beauty to get you where you gotta go. You know, if you are a man and women find you attractive and masculine, that's great. When you walk into a bank, you want to leverage that and you might get a loan. Okay? Because if a lot of people find you attractive, then you should put yourself out in the marketplace to see what you get back. Each one of us has an advantage. Mr. Hurden's advantage, I believe, was his skin tone. So, because of social justice warrioring, everybody wants to be hurt and everybody wants to be a victim. And at the expense of your advantages. Hey, you can't help the way you were born. If you're very attractive or you have desirable features, don't have survivor's guilt. Or if you come from parents that were extremely competent and they set you and your brothers and sisters up the right way, don't allow social justice warrior people to say, well, you come from good parents. That's a positive. So don't crash out, because I've seen people born with a quote unquote silver spoon in their mouth be so ashamed of that silver spoon that they put themselves in very negative situations. Okay? Why would you let a bunch of bottom feeders, that's what I'm going to call them, because only a bottom feeder would crucify somebody for having great parents. So why would you take on the role of a have-not? And I don't mean with things or stuff, but I mean with the love of parents. Why would you let them shift your trajectory? That's not smart or wise. Okay? But if you have an advantage of having great and competent parents, if you have an advantage of growing up in a great neighborhood, if you have the advantage of being tall, or you're easy on the eyes, or you got great sexuality, or you have intelligence, or you have the likability factor. Okay? If you have that advantage, use it, because Mr. Hurden had to use everything that he had at his disposal. Now, I'm going to go out on a limb and I'm going to say he may have not even known that his skin tone coming out of slavery was an advantage for him. You know what I'm saying? Someone said being male is an advantage in society. Well, males pack the jails. Males pack the homelessness. Okay? If I pull my car over and I have a flat tire, being a male is not an advantage because no one's going to help me. If I was a woman, someone would help me. So everybody, there's disadvantages and advantages, right? What kind of male? A poor male? What kind of male? Be specific, right? Be specific. Because for this, there's always that. For every advantage, there is a disadvantage. Okay? So we have to be clear here. And I don't want to use social justice warrioring ideology because the devil's in the details. We can't broad stroke anything. You know what I mean? But if you have advantages, or if you haven't thought about your advantages, you need to think about them, because that's what you're going to use to get you to the next level, right? That's what you're going to use to get you to the next level. What is it that have got you out of a pickle, a sticky situation, and what can you use to move forward? Everybody has an advantage, and in the age of social justice warriorism, I don't even know if that's a word. Social justice, I'm owning that term. Social justice warriorism. Everybody wants to be a victim. Now, that's an advantage as well. If you don't have an advantage, here's an advantage for you. The fact that everybody wants to win a gold medal in the pain and oppression Olympics. The fact that people are less competitive now. The fact that people are so distracted with feelings and stuff like that. All you have to do is put the pedal to the metal just a little bit more, and you will scale times 10. You will 10x it quickly, okay? So Mr. Herden used his skin tone, I believe. Okay. Another form of relentless approach is knowing exactly what you want to do. This is hella important. Now, based on this person's resume, this person wanted to be a successful businessman no matter what, even though they were a slave. This person knew when they was a slave that they wanted to be a businessman. Now, that's interesting. In slavery, this person knew exactly what they wanted to do. Now that seems hella trivial. What, knowing what you want to do? Is that a skill? Sure it is. Because we live in an age where people don't know who they are and they don't know what they want to do. We live in an age where people are struggling to find identity. You have some people trying to decide if they're light-skinned black. You got other people trying to decide if they're dark-skinned black. You got people deciding if they was born in the wrong body. Excuse me. You got people deciding if they are they oppressed or not. Nobody seems to know who they are. So that's an advantage for you. If you are a person, if nothing else, if you don't have any money and you're lacking in skill set, if you know exactly what you want to do with your life, that gives you advantage over millions of other people. Mr. Herden knew exactly what he wanted to do. He knew that he wanted to be a successful businessman, and nothing, not even the South or slavery or Jim Crow, was going to stop that. Now, to me, that's legendary behavior. He knew one thing. He didn't see himself as a slave. Even while he was a slave, he seen himself as a businessman. I know this because when he was released from that physical bondage, okay, of chattel slavery, he got right to work. What is it that you want to do? That's important. Just know that. If you lacking on skills and you're lacking in resources, okay, and you're lacking in connections, if you know what to do, you have the advantage over millions of people, because that knowledge of knowing what you want to do, that is going to be your compass to get where you need to go. You're always going to find yourselves in the right position. You're always going to find yourself sitting next to someone that can solve your problems. Know exactly what you want. It seems so trivial. Just know what you want to do with the rest of your life. Because time is ticking and death is tapping on everybody's shoulder. I'm telling you right now, just a little more focus with people focused on Trump impeachment, with people focused on what Lizzo says and what Nick Cannon does. Do you understand how distracted people are? People don't know what they want to do. They're just waking up every day. They don't know where they're trying to go. They have no clue. They are just here and they are reaching, trying to figure out they're not even trying to figure out their life. They're just here. And I'm telling you, if someone asks you, hey, what can I do for you? And you immediately know, you're quick with that. You quick draw McGraw. You can say it immediately, hey, I need this. Either they can solve your problems or you're not. When people ask you, what do you need? And you're quick with it, boom. Either they can solve your problems or they can't. And it's on to the next one. But when you know exactly what you want, you know where you're trying to go, you know what you need to make it happen, and you know in what time frame you're trying to accomplish that. That's mad important. This gentleman knew, okay? And the third relentless approach. The first one was, what are your advantages? His was his skin tone. What are yours? Okay? The second one is, know exactly what you want. The third one is, using fear as fuel. Using fear as fuel. What's more frightening than being a former slave and only having $11 to your name? That's more frightening than be a single mother with a ton of children, or a widowed mother and you got a ton of children, or you're a man and you have a felony, or you got a messed up background and you need to heal. Being a former slave with $11 in your pocket is more frightening than that. Okay? Now, you could do two things with your fear. You can let it make you small, or you can use it as cement to your back and use it to move forward. Okay? Do you fear being in poverty so much that you're willing to change your behavior? Do you fear being alone so much that you'll value the relationships in your life and do everything in your power to keep them? What do you fear? And how do you use it? Do you use it as fuel? That's important. What do you fear? Right? What do you fear? And how do you use your fear? Most people use their fear and never get started. Okay? Most people use their fear and allow their fear to consume them and eat them. How do you use your fear? Because this gentleman that I was just talking about, and I don't want it to make it seem like the things you're going through in your life is not serious, because it is. But this man was a slave, and this man became a millionaire. And I don't understand if you know how difficult that is. Yes, it was a little bit of luck. Right place, right time. Of course, we all need that. And what I call luck is just grace and favor. What I call luck is having a certain type of energy, and that energy puts you at the right place at the right time, and it attracts people in your life that want to seed into you. That's luck. Preparation meets opportunity. So, some people just find money on the ground. I believe that's because of your vibing a certain type of way. Okay, so, but there's positive fears. Okay, so this is a weird story, but I think it was Hernando Cortez. Okay, when Hernando Cortez went to the Aztecs, Hernando Cortez was a conquistador, and he was looking for gold. Okay, and he had a bunch of conquistadorian soldiers. I guess that's a word. So they went to Cortez. They went to the Aztecs. All right. And of course they was outnumbered, but they had better technology. Hernando Cortez was looking for gold. And he wanted to stay. And I believe the Aztec king at that particular time Montezuma. Montezuma. That's not, if I'm not mistaken. Anyway, the soldiers were disgruntled. They wanted to leave. Cortez burned the ships down so they couldn't get back to their native land. What that fear did was made the conquistadors fight harder. It's called death ground, I believe. You was on death ground. You had to fight. You had to move forward. So we can use fear like that as well. Like if you're from the projects and you make it out, man, you're not going back by any means necessary. If you from a dysfunctional family and you find something good, you're not going back to that no matter what. That's using positive fear. That's using the Cortez approach, which was extreme psychology, because he made his men fight harder than the Aztecs. It's a weird story, but it's a true story. So how do you use your fear? How do you use your advantages? What are your advantages? I didn't even see a lot of people put that down. What are your advantages? I understand because people are, social justice warrior heroes. So they don't, when they hear the word advantage, they're like, oh no, I can't do that. Let me tell you something. A lot of you people are going to social justice warrior your way into a homeless shelter. If you keep that approach, and if you keep having those same pop culture talking points, and you're trying to love everybody, you want to wrap your arms around trees, dandelions, and you want to be on your hippie shit, which is cool, you can, but they might not have a bed for you at the Salvation Army. I'm just letting you know. Okay, so you're gonna have to get on your itch. Okay, so it's important that you know what your advantages are. All right, and know exactly what you want to do with your life. So when someone approaches you that can assist you and help you, you have an answer for them. Because sometimes you only have one time to make a first impression on somebody, and sometimes you do catch lightning in a bottle, and you actually bump into the person that can solve your next season. And if you don't know where you're trying to go, even if they don't know or don't have what you need, the fact that you're able to campaign and be clear about what you want, that's super important too. So you got to be clear, concise. You got to know where you want, know what you want and where you're trying to go, because that's important in a world of people having no clue. Listen, if you live in an environment where people are struggling, we're talking adults, we're not talking kids, where people are struggling with their identity. I'm not talking about the identity of, I used to be a D-boy, now I got to find a new season. No, people are struggling with a racial identity. Light skin black, dark skin black. They're arguing to figure out who's the best object, because that's all that. Anyway, so know who you are, know your advantages, and use your fear as fuel. And if you ever get unsure about what's going on, listen, all you got to do is tap into Alonzo Herden. You know what I'm saying? Look at what the man did with his life. All right, that's very, very important. And going forward in 2020, what I'm telling you is what made you successful, what might not work in 2020. So you may have to reinvent yourself. You may have to read different books, have different friends, move different, because this is the end of a decade and we're going into a whole new vibe, a whole new frequency. Everything, the world as you know it does not exist, does not exist anymore. We are in bizarro world where everything is upside down and everything is not really what it seems. Okay, so you're going to have to tap deep inside of you to become something different. All right, but I know you could do it though. I got faith in you, and you need to have as much faith in you as I have. All right, so in closing, I want you to, use everything Alonzo Herden used, tap into it, be relentless. You want to have achievement in your DNA so your babies can see you and they can copy you. so they can have role models inside the home, and you're not looking for rappers or ball players or movie stars to be your child's role model. And you don't have to be rich to be a role model. All you have to do is show heroic behavior, being able to defy the odds. That's what makes a hero. Standing up when everyone's sitting down. What also makes a hero is you being extremely afraid of something, and you still go and do it, and you still achieve it. That's what makes a hero a hero. Okay, and I want to see more heroes, and I want to see more sheroes. You know, that means I'm doing my job, and this is about my legacy too. You know what I'm saying? So that's mad important. So you guys seen the Nothing But Game hotline? That is not a therapy line. That's a game line. So when you call, I brainstorm with you on how to get to your next season. That's my skill set. That's my superpower, okay? Also, you see the Cash App right there? Go ahead and put something on it so I can put some of them threes on top of some of them twos, some fours on top of them threes, them fives on top of them fours. And right there, you can, right here, wrong way, yeah, right there, you can go become a member at kenbillions.com. And, you know, if you supported that, I appreciate you. If you came and left, I just started building a business. Thank you anyway, though. But yeah, today's message was the DNA of achievers, and it was about having relentless behavior. So I hope with everything you do, you're relentless. Relentless in your marriage, relentless with your children, relentless in your lifestyle, relentless in your health, relentless on your grind. Whatever it is you are doing, I hope that you are relentless, because death don't give a damn about what none of us is talking about. All right? And remember, you got to put something down to pick something up. All right, so hit the hotline, you know what I'm saying? Get with me, and I will see you guys later. Love. Peace.